Hello and welcome to my 2021 NHL Playoffs and Predictions video. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. That's right, folks. The playoffs are here. And not only that, they're here before the regular season has even stopped. Yep, that's right. There's a couple teams still playing because they have to make up some games that got lost to COVID. But all the playoff spots are already locked up, so we're just marching on here. So in this video, we're going to go through the first round matchups and talk about them, who I think is going to win each and every one of them. And then at the end, I'm going to give you my picks on which two teams are going to be in the Stanley Cup Final and also which team is going to be hoisting that cup at the end of all this. So without further ado, let's begin. And we're going to start up north there, with the North Division, and we're going to begin with the 1v4 matchup, the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, come on, look at this matchup. This is a great matchup. It's a broadcaster's dream. Two original six rivalry franchises who haven't met since 1979 in the playoffs. That's before I was born, probably before a lot of you were born as well. This is a new matchup, a rivalry matchup, an original six matchup. I mean, Canadian broadcast executives are just dreaming of bonuses right now. This is... what more could you ask for? Now, in terms of the matchup, Toronto Maple Leafs are the better team, right? That's what they showed during the regular season. At least 5-on-5. The power play is not very good. But as long as they don't come out and just lay an egg like they did in the pandemic playoffs on offense and have like a 2% shooting percentage, I think they'll be moving on to the next round. I think the real interesting part about this matchup between these two teams is the goaltender position. Both teams have found this year that their normal starting goaltenders that you think of have really struggled, right? Frederik Andersen for Toronto, Carey Price for Montreal. Both guys had a down year. Carey Price missed the end of the year with concussion. But with Toronto, Jack Campbell's been fantastic for them. He's going to be the guy for the playoffs for sure. For Montreal, Jake Allen's been good for them. I think it's going to be maybe a tandem kind of effort for the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs with their goaltenders. Carey Price is coming back. Maybe they start with him, even though he struggled this year. If he, just goes on a tear, then he's the guy. But otherwise, if he continues to struggle, you got to imagine Jake Allen's going to be coming in and, splitting games or taking over and trying to get this team to the next round. But like I said, I imagine Toronto's going to be the ones moving on. And for the other matchup in the North Division, the 2v3 matchup, we have the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, we all know about the Connor McDavid show up in Edmonton, right? Absolutely ridiculous. 100-point season in a shortened 56-game schedule. It's just insane. It's unreal. But somehow this team, despite the offensive firepower that they have, continues to struggle each and every year getting out of the first round. Last year, pandemic playoffs, Connor McDavid had 9 points in 4 games against the Blackhawks, and they still lost that series. The defense just needs to allow themselves to be carried by the offensive juggernaut led by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Just don't resist. Just allow yourself to be carried. Mike Smith has had a good year. Defense has played better this year. You think they should have a pretty darn good chance. But they're going up against a Winnipeg Jets team who's getting healthier. They're getting Nikolai Ehlers back, and they're a completely different team with Nikolai Ehlers in the lineup. They have Connor Hellebuyck, who's had a really great season. This series, I feel, could go either way. I really do. In the end, though, I do see the Oilers exercising some demons here and getting a series win, but I do think this is going to go 7 games. It should be a really fun series for sure. Moving on down below the border now, starting with the West Division, 1v4 matchup, Colorado Avalanche versus the St. Louis Blues. Two normally Central Division teams playing in the West Division playoffs. I mean, that's the pandemic to a T right there, right? Colorado getting that President's Trophy right on the final game of the season, so they've obviously had a fantastic year, but now they got to deal with the President's Trophy curse. Can they overcome it? Well, they do have the talent to overcome it, that's for sure. Grubauer's had a fantastic year, Vezina Trophy type of year. Cale Makar has had a Norris Trophy type of season. McKinnon's just, fantastic as always. And they got a crap ton of talent around them. This is essentially their year. Basically, this is what they've been building up for in terms of their salary cap and everything. This is what Joe Sakic has been building up for. This is their chance right here. But they got to go up against the St. Louis Blues team that has been playing well as of late. And they got a lot of guys who, played on that Stanley Cup winning team. Jordan Binnington has had a decent year. When he's been on, he's been on. When he's been off, though. And they are a little bit banged up right now. Tarasenko, Dunn, both kind of been battling injuries at the end of the year. Parayko missed the last game of the regular season. I think all of them will be playing, but I don't think they're going to be 100%. So we'll see how much St. Louis can really keep up with Colorado in this series. I think Colorado's going to come out of this series the victors. I think it's going to be probably 6 games. I think St. Louis is certainly going to put up a fight, but I've got Colorado winning. For the 2v3 matchup in the West, we have the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. I have a question. Will Vegas ever not be good? Like, since their inauguration, they've been at the level of, yeah, I could see them making a run. And this year's no exception. They've got all the same firepower, same type of playing style that they've always had, which has been insanely successful. They got the best goalie tandem in the league in Fleury and Leonard, which I think is going to be an interesting kind of situation. I think they'll ride Fleury, but, they have a very solid tandem if they want to choose to use it. Or if Fleury, struggles, Leonard's not a bad option to go with. However, looking at their history, first year, Stanley Cup Final, second year, lost in the first round thanks to Pavelski's bleeding head. Third season, conference final. Will they continue the pattern and get knocked out in the first round this year? Well, they're going up against the Minnesota Wild team, who has kind of had their number this season. A Wild team that's had a surprisingly good and fun year. Kirill Kaprizov has been absolutely a joy to watch. He's had an incredible rookie season. 27 goals in 55 games. He's been so fun to watch, and he's kind of dragged this team to the playoffs. But you need a little bit more than just a really fun and good rookie to win in the playoffs. And although I like how Minnesota's been playing and their future is super bright, I don't think they have enough to get past Vegas, at least this year. I got Vegas winning this series, but it should be a fun one. Moving over to the Central Division now, we start with the 1v4 matchup, the Carolina Hurricanes against the Nashville Predators. Now, there were 3 top-tier teams in the Central Division this year, and the Carolina Hurricanes found themselves as the best of those 3. Just a fantastic team. They had a fantastic year getting the #1 seed in the Central Division. The only question mark on the team is their goaltending position. They got a couple choices that they can go with, but I think they're going to go with Peter Mrazek. But it's not like he's been absolutely fantastic this year, and in the playoffs, you kind of need a goaltender to be really good. The good thing with the Carolina Hurricanes is that the team in front of Mrazek is as good as you can have in the NHL, and they're going to do their best to limit the amount of work that Mrazek has to do. The only other problem is they're going up against a team that's pretty darn hot right now, kind of peaking at the right time. The Nashville Predators kind of remind you of 2017 a little bit. They really struggled at the beginning of the year, but then just turned it on in the latter half. Saros has been absolutely fantastic, just on fire. If he continues his way in the playoffs, the Predators are going to be a super tough out. This is going to be a good series. This is absolutely going to be a great series. But I've got the Hurricanes just somehow finding a way, just putting it all together and getting through to the next round. And for the 2v3 matchup in the Central Division, we have the Florida Panthers against the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. This is the first matchup in NHL playoff history that is all Florida. Both teams from the Sunshine State. We have the Florida Panthers, headed by Coach Q, second winningest coach in the NHL. Plenty of playoff and Stanley Cup winning experience up for the Jack Adams. He has a pretty darn good team that he's coaching as well. They did lose Ekblad to injury in late March. However, they have been playing pretty decently without him. At the same time, playoffs, you kind of need that depth a little bit more. Can they continue to overcome that injury in the playoffs? That's an if. Also, goaltending situation. Drager has been great this year. Bobrovsky, better, but still not really living up to his huge contract. Who are they going to go with? Personally, I would go with Drager. But no matter who they go with, one of them has to play well in these playoffs for the Florida Panthers to move on or make a run for the Stanley Cup. And they have to go up against the defending Stanley Cup champs in the very first round. A Tampa Bay Lightning team who was just absolutely ridiculously loaded. Absolutely ridiculously loaded this regular season without Stamkos and Kucherov. And they're getting both those players back for the playoffs. Like, it's not fair. It really isn't. Andrei Vasilevsky, probably going to win the Vezina Trophy again. Just unreal. And you got a team that's just stacked in front of them. It's hard to pick against them. Now, Hedman is not 100% for sure. But, like I said, they're ridiculously loaded around him. So, I've got Tampa Bay winning this series. I think it's, once again, going to be a really nice series. I mean, both teams are really good, for sure. This is going to be a good series. But I think Tampa Bay is going to pull through. Moving on to our final division here, the East Division, the 1v4 matchup. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins against the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders could very easily make the case as being the best number 4 seed in these playoffs. Varlamov has had an absolutely fantastic year, Vezina type of year. They're coached by Barry Trotz, so you know their defense is going to be on point. And the trade deadline acquisitions of Palmieri and Zajac have really helped bolster the offense of this team to help give Varlamov that run support needed to really be great down the stretch here. But they're going up against the Pittsburgh Penguins team that have really played well in the latter half of this season, and they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder. They got motivation. Last year, pandemic playoffs, they got ousted by the supposedly worst team in those playoffs, the Montreal Canadiens, the 24th seeded team, basically. So, you know, they've got that motivation. You got Sidney Crosby, you got Evgeny Malkin. They know, how to get it done, right? And they acquired Jeff Carter at the trade deadline. They're playing well. The only question mark really is goaltending. Tristan Jarry doesn't really have any experience in the playoffs. Played just one game in the pandemic playoffs. However, at the same time, hasn't really stopped the Penguins before, right? They didn't really have a whole lot of experience in Matt Murray when they won a Stanley Cup with him. So I think the Penguins are going to kind of be like the Edmonton Oilers in this first round here, and they're going to have that motivation from last summer. They're going to use that, and they're going to find a way to move on to the second round. And then for the other series in the East Division, the 2v3 matchup, we have the Washington Capitals against the Boston Bruins. Another series with an absolutely fantastic storyline. You have the big, bad, towering Slovak defenseman Zdeno Chara, who captained the Boston Bruins for so many years, won a Stanley Cup with them. Now on the Washington Capitals, facing his former team in the playoffs. It's not the Zdeno Chara of old for sure, but still going to be very interesting to watch. Both these teams have plenty of talent. Obviously, Washington still has Ovi and Backstrom. Bruins still have Bergeron and Marchand. Both these teams have plenty of great players beyond those guys. Goaltending is going to be interesting, though, in this series. Vanacek for Washington. He's had an okay year, but nothing special, right? And for the playoffs, you need a little bit of special out of your goaltender. For the Bruins, Tuukka Rask, he's been pretty good this season, but remember the pandemic playoffs? He wasn't there, right? He kind of got a lot of flack for abandoning his team, which is completely bogus and dumb kind of criticism. But, he's going to probably want to try show himself a little bit in these playoffs, show that, he's still the guy that he can lead this team on a Stanley Cup run. Came short in 2013, came short in 2019. Can he make another run and overcome that mountain this year? We'll see. But I do think that the Boston Bruins are going to have what it takes to get on through out of the series and into the next round. So to recap, my picks in the first round are Toronto and Edmonton in the north, Vegas and Colorado in the west, Carolina and Tampa Bay in the central, and Pittsburgh and Boston in the east. Now for the two teams who I think are going to make it to the Stanley Cup Final, I'm going to stick with my picks that I made at the very beginning of the season. Roll the tape. For the Stanley Cup Final, I've got the Colorado Avalanche playing against the Carolina Hurricanes. That's right, I'm saying the Carolina Hurricanes and the Colorado Avalanche are going to be facing off against each other in the Stanley Cup Final. And the team who I think is going to be hoisting that Stanley Cup at the end of this all is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, their second Stanley Cup in franchise history, first since the 2005-2006 season. Will their goaltending hold up? I think it will. In fact, I'm picking that it will. But I'd very much like to hear what you guys are picking. Let me know your thoughts, your picks down in that comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this preview and prediction video. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions. Playoff hockey is back, baby. And I'll see you next time.